Hello, today is the 24th day of August 2017. My name is Jeff Barkler. In October 2010, as a site manager of the Geraldton Law Courts and Custodial Services, I was demoted because I complained of being bullied in the workplace by another G4S Custodial Services officer for a second time. The major depression I am suffering is ruining my life and that of my family. Allianz Australia are in collusion with Workcover Western Australia and are still denying me compensation and rehab, despite the fact that Allianz have accepted liability for my major depression disorder in a statutory regulations form 3A. Today's video will show collusion, corruption and continued bullying of a worker who is suffering depression. Now, if we look at the first slide, the title of this is Allianz and Workcover WA Collusion and Corruption, and the subtitle is Bullying Worker Suffering Depression and Abuse of Public Office by Mr. RossPaparone of Workcover WA and Abuse of Power by Mr. Stephen Fong of Allianz Australia. My Twitter handle is @JeffAdel. I will endeavour to prove these claims of collusion and corruption on the following facts and slides. Now, if we move to the second slide, which is a letter to Mr. RossPaparone of Workcover WA from me, dated the 16th of March 2017, asking 3 questions. To date, neither Mr. RossPaparone or Workcover WA have answered these questions. Mr. RossPaparone has failed in his legal obligations and responsibilities to reply to my letter. A clear case of omissions to perform an act he has an obligation to perform, and a clear abuse of public office. Now, if we move to the third slide, which is a letter to Mr. Stephen Fong of Allianz Australia from me, dated the 16th of March 2017, asking 3 questions. To date, Mr. Stephen Fong has failed to respond to this letter. Mr. Stephen Fong has failed in his legal obligations and responsibilities to reply to my letter, a clear case of omissions to perform an act he has an obligation to perform, and abuse of his power. Now, if we move to the fourth slide, you will see a statutory regulations form 3A. Insurers notice that liability is accepted. About halfway down this page you will see the following words: nature of incapacity, major depression disorder. This document was issued by Allianz Australia's Mr. Rob Moffat and is signed and dated the 3rd of July 2012. This document also bears the stamp of the District Court of Western Australia. Now, if we move to the 5th slide, you will see a medical certificate from Workcover medical expert Dr. Kate Nelson, dated the 18th of July 2016, in which she states that my depression and anxiety are permanent. This document also bears the stamp of the District Court of Western Australia. Now, if we move to the 6th slide, you will see a Workcover prescribed medical certificate from Workcover medical expert Dr. Kate Nelson, dated the 18th of July 2016. This document also bears the stamp of the District Court of Western Australia. Now, if we move to the 7th slide, you will see Section 21, Compensation for Schedule 2 Injuries, and Schedule 2, Table of Compensation Payable. My goodness, Allianz accept liability, yet deny compensation and rehab to a worker suffering depression, and Workcover WA are covering up for Allianz non-compliance with the laws. Mr. RossPaparone and Mr. Stephen Fong are committing Workcover fraud. They both fail to answer 3 questions, violating basic human rights to freedom of expression, and they are both failing in their duty of care towards me. Mr. RossPaparone is guilty of abusing public office, and Mr. Stephen Fong is guilty of abusing his power. This is clearly psychological abuse by both of them. I fear for my safety as Allianz and Workcover are not going to like being exposed for their corrupt criminal conduct. I have sought protection from the Australian Federal Police on a number of occasions, no effect and no replies. I leave you with the words of Martin Luther King Jr. The ultimate tragedy is not the oppression and the cruelty by the bad people, but the silence over that by the good people. Thank you for watching. Please share this video with family and friends, and stay tuned. I'll be putting out many more